Hey, I'm Peter and I'm here today to go over everything you need to know about the Paxus X-Washer P2.1. This is a high pressure washer from Paxus and it's absolutely incredible. It comes with everything you see here, which is the main body, the handle, the holder for the electric cable, the hose hook, the soap bottle, the spray gun, the metal lance, as well as 6 screws. It also comes with the user manual as well as this cleaning needle. It's very important to note that some of the screws are a different size, so make sure you're using the correct size screw for the part you're installing. First, you want to install the hose hook on the long handle using the 4 smaller screws. Next, you want to slide the handle onto the main body and then tighten the screws to attach the handle. Third, you'll install the cable reel by screwing the 4 remaining screws into the body. This will allow you to easily wind the power cable onto the power cable hook. The next step is to install the pressure hose onto the water outlet and tighten it. You might have to push a little hard to get this to seat in. You want to make sure it fits nice and snug before screwing the collar on. The next step is to install the other end of the high pressure hose into the gun handle. Make sure you listen for a click to make sure it's fully installed. Next, you want to insert the lance into the gun handle and rotate it. You want to make sure that the lance is properly installed and aligned before you lock it. To install the soap bottle, first you must remove the lance, align the soap bottle, and rotate it to finish the installation. And don't worry if the direction of the soap bottle is not level. You can easily pull and then rotate this collar to get the soap bottle level with the rest of the gun. One of the more convenient aspects of this high pressure washer from Paxus is the ability to rotate the nozzle to change the shape of the water coming out. That way the pressure can be adjusted to your need. Other pressure washers have different shaped nozzles that you have to remove and replace to change the shape and intensity of the water. So this makes it very convenient that you can change it on the fly. And when you're not using the soap bottle, you can attach it to the back of the washer so you don't lose it. Another awesome thing about this pressure washer is the power cable itself is 35 feet long. So no matter what you're trying to wash, where your plug is, you have the reach and the capability to get there. And on top of that, your high pressure hose is 26 feet long. So you're able to plug in, get 35 feet, put your hose on your gun, get an additional 26 feet, and be able to wash whatever you need anywhere. First, connect your hose to the water source. Next, attach the other end of your hose to the back of the unit. Make sure both connections are nice and tight. It's important to connect the lance to the gun and the high pressure hose to the gun before turning on the water. Turn on your water source at the highest possible amount. Plug your unit in and you're good to go. By twisting the end of the lance, you can set the water pressure to be nice and hard for cleaning stone, brick, and other hard surfaces. Twist the end of the lance the other way to soften the pressure for watering plants or washing your car. The included soap bottle is 250 milliliters. You will want to dilute whatever cleaning solution you're using when you put it into the bottle. For washing cars, the recommended cleaning solution brands are 3M, Rain-X, and Turtle Max Power Car Wash. Give that bottle a good shake to mix up the solution and water mixture. Remove the lance and attach the soap bottle. Once the soap bottle is installed, you're all set to lather up. Replace the soap bottle with the lance to rinse away the soap. Let's say the area you need to wash isn't close to a water source. You can always fill a bucket or other container with water, place the end of the hose into the bucket, and the Paxus pressure washer will pull the water from the bucket for washing. The length of the hose shouldn't exceed 10 feet though. An important safety tip is to please make sure that you don't point the nozzle of the gun toward any human or animal or anything that you could potentially hurt. The pressure of the water coming out of this unit is very high and can cause some serious damage. It's also important to realize that as you spin the end of the lance and adjust the pressure of the washer itself, that you want to make sure that you don't do too hard of a pressure depending on the surface that you're washing. For example, if you have the pressure set too high, you could strip paint or stain off of wood, you could damage vehicles or plants, so just make sure that the pressure that you're using is appropriate to the material that you're washing. All right, so let's say you're having some trouble with the unit. How do you fix it? One of the first things that could happen is when you first plug in your power, get your hose hooked up, turn on your water, and start to spray the pressure washer, the water pressure may be low. How do you fix that? The first thing you want to do is check all of the connections. Make sure every connection point is tight and there's no leaking water. Those connections are at the source where you plug your water hose in, at the front of the unit where you plug in your high pressure hose, at the back of the unit where you plug in the other side of your water hose, as well as on the bottom of the gun where the high pressure hose plugs in. First, check all of those points and make sure that water is not leaking. There are O-rings on both sides of the high pressure hose that if those rubber O-rings are missing will cause leaking. On the lance, there's also an O-ring, so if that's missing, that could cause potential leaking. The other place to look is on the back of the unit here, where your water hose plugs in. You'll want to make sure that your hose is screwed in tightly to this port to make sure that all of the water from your hose is getting into the unit. With everything plugged in, you can remove the lance from the gun to make sure that the water coming out is at a high enough pressure. On the port on the back of the unit where your water hose screws in, there's a filter. You'll want to inspect that filter periodically to make sure that there's no impurities from the water source clogging that up. If that gets clogged, that could also cause problems for your machine. If that's the case, attached to the user manual is a small pin accessory, and that's used to clean out the filter on the back of the unit. And of course, you'll want to check your garden hose, your water hose, to make sure that there's no kinks, there's nothing that's laying across the hose and keeping the water from coming into the unit, and just double check and make sure that it's a clear line from the water source to the pressure washer. So let's say your machine starts making a really weird noise. It could sound like it's grinding or it's just running weird. What that means is there's not enough water getting into the unit. It's important to make sure that you don't run the unit without water coming through it for an extended period of time. That could potentially cause damage to the internal components of the pressure washer. If you start hearing a weird noise, double check your connections, make sure you have enough water coming in, make sure the inlet port is not clogged, make sure your hose isn't kinked, and just double check and make sure there's no leaking anywhere. It's also important to make sure that your faucet is fully open. That water source needs to be as high a pressure as you can get to make sure you're getting enough water into the unit. All right, so you're all finished washing with your Paxus pressure washer and you're ready to store it. The steps to get the unit ready for storage couldn't be easier. To put your unit away, first turn the water off at the source, and it's important before disconnecting the power to your pressure washer to hold the trigger of the gun for a few seconds to let all the water in the hose make its way out of the unit. Once all that pressure is released, you will easily be able to disconnect the hose from the gun. You have a hook on the front here for your high pressure hose. There's an area on the back of the unit where you can spool up your power line. Once you disconnect the lance, you can slide it right here and then slide the gun into the handy little holder right on the side of the unit. It's also important to remember not to store your Paxus pressure washer outside. You want to place it in a garage or a shed or somewhere that it'll be away from the elements. Overall, this pressure washer from Paxus is a must-have. It's versatile, easy to use, and will make cleaning a breeze.